Zoro Wank! Wank! Wank, 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 wank. Wank, wank. Zoro Wank. Alright. Welcome one, welcome all. Today we're going to be doing the 937 One Piece chapter Yukimaru on Oihagi Bridge review. And general thoughts just to start it out. I liked the chapter. I really did. Good chapter. Solid 8 out of 10. 7.85 out of 10. Somewhere around there. There's a lot of good things. There's a lot of mysteries that are being re-brought up with a little bit more new light on the information in regards to hockey and black beads and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just going to be going over kind of like the 6 major points that I got from this chapter. And so the first one is going to be revolving around Big Mom. And Chopper keeps saying or thinking to himself, oh shit, if she recovers her memories, we're doomed, right? And this implies that Chopper knows that there's going to be at some point where Big Mom recovers her memories during the Wano arc. It doesn't make sense for Big Mom to be this out of it the whole entire time, so Chopper is worried about it. But Chopper is doing nothing to go one of 2 routes, right? First route is Chopper could analyze the situation right now and use the medicine that he knows about and his doctoring skills to keep Big Mom in this state. So if Chopper does keep Big Mom in this state, in this childhood state of the Olinland state, her 5-year-old state, that could be a serious help for the rest of the arc, if not the rest of the story. This would imply that Big Mom would then become a part of, not a part of the Alliance, but she would somehow befriend the Straw Hat Pirates. And so option 1 is Chopper keeps her this way. And it's not beneficial for the Big Mom plotline, but it is an option for Chopper to keep Big Mom in this state so she wouldn't be that much of a threat later on during the series. Option 2, right, is Chopper could figure out a way with his doctoring skills and his medicine skills to get Big Mom's memories back, but these memories would involve obtaining and relearning the memories of what she did to Mother Carmel. Right? And this is a lot more beneficial because if Chopper gives her the antidote or fixes her problems with her amnesia, is she may or may not have a lingering hatred towards Luffy for entering her territory and destroying it. But she would also probably feel obligated to help Chopper out for helping her out and realizing what she's been doing her whole entire life. So if Chopper does go down the route of fixing her memories for her, I would much rather see him do it now while she's in this 5-year-old childhood state, rather than having something else bad happen to Big Mom, causing a havoc, and then fixing her problems. It just makes a lot more sense to me personally for him doing it now. And then part 2 of the Big Mom stuff is her actually heading to Udon prison. So everyone's saying that Big Mom's going to fight Queen, but Big Mom washes Queen. Queen is a second commander, and even Kaido is afraid of Big Mom being in his territory. That's why he sent out King a couple chapters ago to go knock down the ship and try and get him out of the territory. So with the normal power scaling thought processes, Kaido and Big Mom are Yonkos. So the commander should be below the Yonkos. And if Kaido is afraid of Big Mom, they are on almost equal footing, depending on how you look at it. I like to say they're a little on equal footing, but Kaido is stronger than Big Mom. So, therefore, Big Mom washes Queen. Like, maybe you can bring it to a low diff. At the highest cap. If Queen was going to die, and he had to fight Big Mom, Queen might be able to bring it to a mid-diff fight. But that's the absolute highest that it can go, right? So, if Big Mom shows up to the prison and Luffy hasn't defeated Queen by then, or Luffy hasn't escaped by then, Queen should be running for his life. And, like I said, Big Mom washes Queen. So I don't think it's a route that Oda can take. He might take it. I really hope he doesn't. But I don't think there's a route that Oda can take where he actually pits off Queen versus Big Mom. It doesn't make sense thematically, and it doesn't make sense power scaling wise. So the one thing that's interesting from the scene that we get from one of the few things that we get interesting from the prison scene is right before we get there, we have Big Mom and Chopper and Otama and Okiku on the giant lizard, and Big Mom is talking about Oshiriku. Then in the following 1 or 2 pages, we get Queen talking about how Oshiriku is as important to me as the air that I breathe, right? So it implies that because of this Oshiriku subplot line of Big Mom being hungry with her hunger pains and her being a child and Queen loving Oshiriku, that it seems that they would fight. But I think what's going to happen is Queen says, oh, there's no fun in just having me go up against Luffy Taro. That's why I put all the pleasures and the guards up against him first. And Daifugo, whatever his name is, like, I could have beat his ass. I could have done it. Why didn't you just let me get in there? It's because the dude... That was loud. It's because the dude got one-shotted by Luffy. Oh. Luffy was flying, and he got capped. Just one punch to the face. Luffy destroyed him, so... My dog is right here. Say hi, quick. Hi. So, I don't think that... There's more of a probability for me that Queen fights Luffy, and there's a whole entire power scaling debate that I'm going to get in between the Luffy and Queen matchup, but for me it's more plausible that Luffy's going to fight Queen and Queen isn't going to fight Big Mom. Moving on, continuing in the prison part of this chapter, we get a revelation about advanced armament hockey is what Rayleigh showed during the beginning of the pre-time skip, or the beginning of the time skip, not pre-time skip, because beginning of the pre-time skip would have been like East Blue. So, what Rayleigh showed when he was fighting the elephant, and he did this number, and the armament hockey just bolted out of him, that is advanced, right? So, now people are saying that, of course, the Admirals have advanced high-tier hockey, and that's why you couldn't see it, because it wasn't even visible to Luffy, right? And it wasn't visible to the reader because that's how advanced it was. So now we have these tiers, right, of armament hockey. And there's another point that I want to bring out is that when Luffy was fighting Katakuri, Katakuri said, I have a level above your armament hockey. You can't compete with me. And that was his block mochi. So the way that I see it, right, is like here's level C. We'll call this the bottom, which is armament hockey, which is the black vulcanization of whatever body part that you have, right? That's like the lowest tier. The second tier of armament hockey will be Katakuri's block mochi and that of the sorts, right? To where it's harder than normal armament hockey, but it isn't the god tier of hockey. So that second level of armament hockey is a more condensed and hardened hockey. I know that sounds redundant, but that's the way I see it. And then you have this third level, like the A tier of hockey, where you have the Rayleigh laser beam hockey, where it's like you can project the armament hockey out of yourself and it still affects people. So I think now with this revelation, we have higher tiers to hockey where we only had the perception of or the assumption of higher tiers of hockey. So now we see it. So then that brings into question whether Future Sight is A tier or if it's B tier, right? So if you take this information and you say, you have, I'm going to just make it simple, right? You have the C, B, and A tier of hockey. Shouldn't that be the same for observation? But where does observation lie? Where C tier is you can sense the enemy's movements, right? And you can dodge the attacks. Is Future Sight the next one above that? And there's something above that? Or is there something in between Future Sight and base observation hockey? So I'm gonna make another video about that, get my thoughts collected on that. And then another interesting fact is when Luffy is kind of talking to himself and he says, Rayleigh did it so easily, Grandpa Hio goes, Rayleigh, ? Straw Hat Luffy, what kind of a man are you? And you could take this one of two ways. You can take it the way that I'm taking it as the implication that Grandpa Hio knows Rayleigh from when Roger came and picked up Odin, because Odin and Grandpa Hio were prominent figures at the time. So Hio might have had a couple interactions with the Roger Pirates when they were in Wano, Or he could just say, option 2, like, Rayleigh. Like, who's that? What do you mean? I want to believe that Grandpa Hyo knows Rayleigh, and with that implication of him knowing Rayleigh, it's just another tidbit of information for Grandpa Hyo to get back into the battlefield, not having him fight, but gather up the forces for Luffy. Because if Silvers is the right-hand man to Goldie Roger, and Luffy trained underneath him, he's going to say Straw Hat is such an important man, right? And he's such a tough, challenging man that he trained underneath Rayleigh. He has a connection with Rayleigh, so he's going to kind of put 2 and 2 together. And then we skirt on to the next part of the chapter where we get the title for it, and it's Gyukimaru on Ohigo Bridge. Gyuki is a weapons collector, but he's a bandit. So he's like this, like, he's like, I'm going to steal because Wano has national treasures and an abundance of very valuable swords, but I'm going to steal them. So, like, if he was a weapons collector and he wasn't a bandit, he'd be like a dude in a shop, but he's going around stealing. So I want to get a little bit more about Gyuki's backstory, because Gyuki drops some pretty heavy informational bombs on us regarding to, like, the Black Blades, the Osaijo Wazamonos, and then he gives a little bit more information about Ryuma. So with Ryuma's history, he says there was a time where a dragon came out of the sky and Ryuma slayed it, imposing that there's like this weird reflection in my computer case right here, and I see it in the corner, and it's weird because now I'm watching my mouth move. So there's an implication that Ryuma was strong, that he was very prominent, and then he says another line where Wano was a country of gold at one point, and everybody on the outside world wanted to take it for their own. And there's a lot of face value stuff where Wano was a country of gold, real gold. I don't know, I'm putting air quotes on real gold. So that's a very valuable metal, and a lot of the One Piece world seems to be the same as our world with a few exceptions. So gold would be a very high-priced item in that. And if Wano was actually a country made out of gold, like an El Dorado in a sense, that would make sense. But what I think he's more implying is that Wano was a country of gold based on the sea stone. So the sea stone being one of the hardest materials in the world, if not the hardest material in the world. I forget what the other one is, the Koriyaseki, whatever that is, right? I think that's still sea stone. Sea stone is like the hardest thing. So like the world government wants it, probably like armies want it for weapons and crafting. Who else would want it? Just everybody would want sea stone, right? Because it's such an advantage over a lot of different things. So when I think he's saying, when he says it's a country of gold, I think it's the gold revenue that could have came out of Wano back in the day. And then he states that Ryuma was the first person to basically fend off all of these threats for Wano. And when he died, they gave him the title of Sword God. Sword God. And with that title, I think Ryuma may have been considered the first world's greatest swordsman. And not to get off on a track talking about Mihawk in this review, but Mihawk, he's only, 39, 40 years old. He's around Shanks' age, right? There's no way that he could have fought Ryuma back in the day and gotten it. But it might have been passed down from Ryuma to student to student to student to student for a while, because it seems that Wano's swordsmanship is high tier compared to the rest of the world. And at some point, we might get a revelation that Mihawk has fought against one of Ryuma's, not descendants, not descendants, but like one of his students, depending on the timeline of how long ago Ryuma was here. Because if Ryuma was in, let's say 1,000 years ago to the Void Century, right? There's a very, very, very small chance that lineage kept up for a while. But if Ryuma was only in Wano 600 years ago, right? That's only 6 to 10 predecessors for the title of Greatest Swordsman. So I think there's going to be a connection between the Greatest Swordsman and Ryuma with the title of Sword God. And then we get the bomb that Shusui became a Black Blade. So I've never had any crazy theories on swords in One Piece. I think they're cool. It's not my main focus for One Piece, and I think it's a cool aspect of it, and Oda's diving into it into the Wano arc. But it brings up the question if all black blades were normal blades before they became black blades, and due to the armament hockey and the blood, sweat, and tears, literally, of that swordsman wielding the blade and all the countless battles that they went through, and like their, let's say, flawless victories. Let's say they had like 500 battles that they're in, and they went 500-0 in those battles. Then all of that armament and that training and that hockey went into the blade to become a black blade. That would be cool, but I'm gonna wait on that for now. And I want a lot more not a lot more, but I want enough to substantiate certain thoughts that I have about the black blades. And then I'm going to get to the Zoro Wank in a second, but I'm going to keep scooting forward a little bit. Kamurasaki shows up with Otoko, and there's no way that it's not Kamurasaki. Same face, same picture, little cut on the arm. That's what I'm a little mad about, is there's not a... If Kiyoshiro cut Kamurasaki and the way that he did in the palace, right, she should have this gash from like her hip to her shoulder, right? So there's a little bit of witchcraft, there's a little bit of wizardry, there's a little bit of devil fruit magic powers, a little bit of outside powers, whatever you want to call it, right? To where she only has like this cut on her arm, and it's like only this big, right? It's only like that. So there's a little something fishy going on there. I'm a little sad about the part that Kamurasaki didn't receive a fatal wound, and she's still able to run and hold Otoko. Excuse me, sorry. I'm gonna skip that because I don't really care about that. Then we get to Kamazou, the manslayer. He's cool. He looks like that one dude from Rurouni Kenshin with all the Band-Aid wraps and everything. I've never really watched Rurouni Kenshin. People are going to harp on me for that, but I'll watch it eventually. And so Kamurasaki says, oh, you're Kamazou the manslayer, the outlaw of the flower capital, but that's just a facade because you're actually Orochi's assassin. And he's like, nobody should know that, like, and why are you protecting this girl, blah, 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 blah. So Kamazou is a subordinate of Orochi. That is confirmed. But what I'm wondering if he's the only one and he's the strongest one, or if there's a group of assassins like Orochi has a group of ninjas underneath him. Like Orochi has all these different subsets, right? And then he has the backing of Kaido with the Beast Pirates. But if Orochi is this well established where he has an assassin, right, and his name is well known, and then he has a ninja squad that isn't known at all, right? I wonder how many other people Orochi has underneath him that are actually going to be tough opponents for the Straw Hats coming to the Fire Festival. And so another thing that Kamazou says is, whoever gets in my way, I have been ordered to take down and kill as well. Which is pretty heavy implications that Orochi doesn't want any information getting out about anything, and Orochi has an agenda, which goes to show that, one, he's freakishly afraid of things that are going to happen, and he's like one of the heaviest tyrants we've ever seen in One Piece. So I like that personally. I like it a lot more than Orochi being afraid. He is scared, but he's not the kind of like timid, like, I'm so afraid of everything that could possibly happen to me, and I'm just gonna sit here, right? Like, he has dudes going out and it's on site. Like, he has an agenda to get shit done, and I like that. And then now we get to the Zoro Wank. Okay, here's my thoughts on Zoro, right? I'm going to say this real quick. I like the character. I don't want to beat his meat every time that he comes up in the manga panels. Like, he's one of my favorite vice captains. He's not as sick as some of the other ones that I do like. So, the first point that I want to bring up is there's a lot of people saying that Zoro could whoop Luffy's ass, and then with one of the recent things that Oda said, or one of the older things that Oda said, is he said that Zoro is second to none except for the captain and his crew, meaning that Zoro's behind Luffy. But then people take this gap and they're like, here's Luffy and Zoro, here's Luffy and Zoro, here's Luffy and Zoro, right? But the thing that I want to point out is Luffy had this happen to him too when he had observation haki, or the beginnings of it, is he would get distracted. So, like, even in the Katakuri fight, like, he would, even though Katakuri's was so much higher above his, is he would get distracted and then he would get hit, right? But Zoro's observation haki should be good enough to the point to where he can fight these two dudes at the same time, Kamazou and Gyuki. And so it was a surprise to me and I think it was just more for the Zoro hype, that Kamazou got a hit off on him, and he got the scythe stuck in his shoulder blade, right? But if Zoro was that close to Luffy, there shouldn't have been an instance where he was caught off guard by Gyuki underhandedly trying to hit him or slash him or kill him. I don't know what Gyuki's really trying to do. But he should be able to, with his observation hockey and his level of fighting prowess, be able to avoid these attacks. And so I was a little caught off guard with that. And so I think with Luffy's observation now, I think Luffy knows that when he's getting into a fight, it's a lot more serious after the Katakuri fight. And it was even shown in like the first few chapters where Luffy was just carefree and his observation was still on point, to where he snapped back and slapped that dude with the sniper like hundreds of feet away probably. I talked about Zoro's pain tolerance, and it's one of the highest up there, his pain tolerance endurance. The dude had a scythe. The scythe. I don't have a scythe on me because I don't carry scythes, but the dude had a scythe in between his chest, his shoulder, right, and coming out his back, his meaty, thick back, right? And the dude was just all, nothing. This will have to do. And then bites it and rips it out. I really want to see it animated, though, because I don't want to see him, like, throw his swords up. I just want to see the dude, like, with his swords, go down, bite the scythe, and just go, so I like that part about it. I got another pepperoni right here. And then you get this panel after the scythe where you see Zoro's kind of like intensity start kicking up, and he goes for his move, the Purgatory Oni Cutter, and he says 3-sword style, and then you get this quick panel of Kumurasaki, and she says 3-sword style, question mark, exclamation, exclamation. And like I said, there's been a lot of things that you can take in multiple ways from this chapter, and the way that I see this little panel is that's either an implication that somebody else that she knows 3-sword style and does 3-sword style. She's never seen it before, and it's this odd commodity to her. Or she's probably thinking like, oh, I heard about a 3-sword style swordsman from way back in the day, and we might get another descendant of Ryuma who used 3-sword style. I don't know. There's just a couple different ways you could take it. And so Zoro then hits Kamazou, and you see like the blood splatter. But Kamazou isn't weak enough, or I hope he isn't perceived to be weak enough, he isn't written weak enough yet to just have one attack from Zoro just completely knock him out. So I think we're going to get another chapter and a half, maybe 2 chapters of the Zoro Kamazou Gyuki fight. And then I'd rather see that than just having Zoro one-shot somebody already. So those are just kind of like my thoughts. If you have any questions, write them down in the comments. If you have anything good to say, write them down in the comments. If you have anything bad to say, write them down in the comments. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. And I'll see y'all eggheads after you're done wanking Zoro.